Do you remember the time we used to get beaten for stealing meat from the pot? The purpose of this video is actually to talk about the transition from being a child to being a mini adult in your parents' eyes. When you guys are playing and then someone hurts someone, whatever, and then you cry and then you get beaten for crying. So with all those loving actions, you grew to learn, well, I grew to learn anyways, that my house, my rules. And parents have like, I wouldn't say weird, but like really random rules. Like my mom, like about the whole mopping thing, like you must mop morning and evening, even if you're home alone. It's as if the floor is gonna crack if the floor stays unmopped for one day. Like I'm just like, but I'm alone at home. I was in the room the whole day. How am I going to mop? Your house, your rules, whatever you want. And then even with my dad like has this thing about being home before sunset. Okay, also because I'm a girl and safety in Namibia, and you know, but yeah, he's like sunset, and I'm like, bro, I'm 20. Right, oh, now I'm 26. I'm 26. Like, can we not do this thing? This one time I came home at like, first of all, for context, the sun sets late, like during the December holiday, like 8 o'clock, and then I come home at like 8:30, and straight up I was locked out of the house. It was very stressful. Where do I go? I was homeless for like 30 minutes. So depending on the house that you grew up in, you know that certain rules just like stand. Like for instance, you can't go out on Friday and Saturday. You must just pick one. And when you're going out, you have to specifically be like, I'm going out with Louise, who I met from school. You remember Louise, right? Like, she's not a new friend, she's not shady. Oh, she does well at school, she's a good kid. For me, that was the dumbest thing, because my parents couldn't care less at the time anyways who my friends were. I was told once that we send you to school to study, not to make friends. You also know that before you go out, you have to be like, I did all the cleaning, I swept, I mopped, I cooked. You have to make sure you do everything under the sun, because otherwise when you rock up and you're like, oh, can I please go? They'll be like, yeah, but I need you to. And then you'll be like, no, I already did it. And they'll be like, but I need you to. No, I already did it. And then that is how you get out of the house. Fast forward to like now. You are a mini adult in the making. You are growing. You are radiant. Suddenly, I mean, it's not as sudden as I'm making it sound, but see that you and your parents are transitioning into this sort of friendship. I thought childhood status for life. For me, childhood status was that I don't plan my day. I'll be like, yeah, I have plans, what, and they'll be like, no, actually our plans for you were XYZ, and then you'll be like, okay, I guess. But now I'll be like, my plans are, and then they'll be like, oh, our plans are, and then I'll be like,
thank you for coming out. I really do appreciate it. And so today I want to discuss with you a little bit about negotiating.
I'll see, I got options now. But now you're like a whole human with like opinions and a life. I saw my parents as like these superhero people, could do no wrong, you know, all knowing. In first year, I was doing not so great at physics, and I'm at home, I'm struggling, I'm like, yo, physics, man. And my dad's in like finance and banking and whatever, and he's like, physics, those are small things, bring the book. And then he's like paging through and he's like telling me concepts, and to be honest, it was probably just some like hardcore freestyle thing. Oh, forces, no, mass times acceleration, yeah, of course. But at the time I was like, wow, you are the greatest father to ever live. Like, growing up, you start to see your parents as like humans, you know, like just casual people that had children, raised them the best way they saw fit, the best way they could, the best way according to like whatever sacrifices and like knowledge they had and situations they lived in and whatnot. And then here you are this human that they raised. And then them also sort of adjusting that, you know, you're no longer that little fragile baby thing that, you know, that puts on their shirts backwards. We always joke about this, right? The whole like thing where you're initially, it's like don't date, and like super strict and super like stubborn about it, or if I can say that. And then like suddenly at a certain age, I don't know, I'm not at that age yet, people start to like throw hints about like, oh, so like, aren't you gonna introduce us to someone? And I still till this day don't understand that thing culturally or traditionally, because if you weren't supposed to date, where is this person supposed to come from? Like, they must just out of
the trick, Jimmy, you may have never seen. Borrowed top hat, magic gesture, 2 taps, and out of the hat comes a rabbit.
That's magic.
Yeah, it's like you are asked to be like, I don't want to say deceitful, but like undercover.
Get me undercover, brother.
And then reveal them at some point. I just don't understand. So when I decided that I wanted to become closer with my parents, what I did was, or one of the things that I started to do was, I used to do those asking for a friend things, and I would be like, Ma, my friend is dating someone who says that if they break up, they will commit suicide. You know, I don't know why she's asking me these questions. I don't know anything. I've never dated anyone. What should she do? Tell me, Ma, so I can advise my friend. And then she'd like give me a whole story, and I'll be like, I will tell her, let me go text her right now, and then go solve all my life problems. Straight up scared, because like, wow, people were clear in their definitions of do not date. We send you to school to study. So through that, I also got to know like their stance on certain things, and things that they'll budge on and things they won't budge on. For me, a casual thing has been also to find out how they feel about elopement. I made a joke about it at dinner once, while we were like casually sitting and eating, whole family, and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said, but I know I was just like, yeah, ha ha ha, what if I elope? And people just went quiet, like silence, quiet. So I was just like, I was just joking, that would never happen. Now I know it would never happen, because clearly people are we best friends now? Best friends for life? You know, do we have matching toes? Nails, paint, matching nail paint. The relationship has definitely grown. For instance, my mom can see my WhatsApp status. I see me for who I am outside of the house. When I change my profile picture on WhatsApp, my dad will comment and be like, who's that guy? That's not weird at all. So why is it nice to be friends with your parents? I am really enjoying being friends, or becoming friends with my parents. Like, I mean, first and foremost, you can ask questions about like the past, liberation struggle, because we're such a young country. They're giving, when they talk about themselves growing up, you're like, whoa, you know, this is like recent. This is like first generation. I am the first generation born in an independent Namibia, and it's stuff that obviously wasn't in the history books, and it's just, for me, it's really interesting to see the contrast in how we grew up, and how that makes them how they are, and how they manage households, and like all these differences that you sort of see, and you're like, but why do we do this as a house? You know, why can't we just? It's also interesting how they've changed, like considering how they've raised your younger siblings and how they're raising you, and then how they raised you and now how they're raising your younger siblings, and then you're just like, you guys used to be so much stricter about that thing, and now look at us now. You've changed. Similarly, you can learn how to navigate things like black tax, and like what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Giving traditionally, if I should say, or culturally. Is that the same thing? Another cool thing is obviously just because they've been alive for longer, they can give insight into like work relationships and personal relationships, and life in general, income, money management. Should I have life cover as a 26-year-old with no children? Stuff like that. And it's also like, you guys can have honest conversations about when you should leave the nest. For instance, I would say don't leave the nest, save on that rent. But in general, like some parents, it is better to topoka. Look how the sun just disappeared, and now it's just like my face. Ooh. To wrap this video up, since the sun has all but disappeared from my face, in general, I also wanted to flex that like it's been a sunny day in London. We don't always have sunny days. Anyways, I wish you the best in navigating that transition. And also recognize that sometimes you may be like 18 and then you're demanding to be seen as like the adult. You know, people have different definitions of what they deem adult. For some families I've seen it's like when you graduate. For some families I've seen it's as soon as you're in university. Some families it's when you get your first job and you're like not financially dependent on them anymore. Then it's like, okay, cool, now we recognize you and you're like in the family meetings and whatnot. And obviously we thank God for like general forgiveness of our parents for like the roughness and confusion that is raising a child. Raising different children even with different personalities in the same household. I have no idea how that thing's gonna work, because when I think of my siblings and I'm just like, man, kids are weird. I am normal. And then, you know, at the same time also that, you know, our parents will forgive us, because I have heard from the mountains that y'all homies let your parents pay tuition and then just chop the money.
Chop my money, 'cause I don't care.
Like, it is rude. Tuition, guys, where is the remorse? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Ciao. I got 15 naira in my name, 15 naira in my name, 15 naira.